This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
This House blamed the National Planning Authority for underdevelopment of Uganda. Happens to be the resolution of the day. Oyela Masimeri, first speaker from Team Negative. I have the following questions for you. Are yes or no must be the expectation out of the following questions. So I beg you pay a keen attention to them. For development to occur, do we need funds?
Pardon me?
For development to occur, do we need funds? I expected a yes or no. It seems like you have no response.
Yes.
Can you implement a good plan in a country with political instability?
Pardon
We
me?
expected a yes or no. Please stop pretending. Each member of parliament of Uganda today receives at least 15 million shillings as their salary. Do you consent?
Pardon me?
I expected a yes or no, please. Then we are... NPA has achieved only 17% of its plan in NDP 3, as said by research conducted. Do you consent? I expected a yes or no. It
Then
seems
that's
like
a
you
low
have
achievement
no
of NPA.
idea.
17% is less than the
Have you
remaining
ever-
83%.
I expected a yes or no. Have you ever considered factors that are hindering those developments?
Of
Thank
course, National
you.
Planning
I
Authority is
expected
directly
a
involved.
yes or a no, please save my time. Then, do you consent with us that it is useless to draft a perfect plan and later on it is not taken?
Pardon me?
Do you consent with us that it is useless to draft a perfect plan and later it is not taken?
As a role of the
I
planner, you must ensure that your
expected a yes
perfect
or no.
plan
Please
is
don't
clearly
complicate
implemented. But if the
issues.
perfect plan is not
Will
clearly
you blame
implemented,
the
then you are not
NPA
playing
for
your role.
failing to fight corruptions, yet it has brought some measures, but the politicians are not taking since the president is the, let's
That's
say,
a
the
long
overall
question, please.
view?
Pardon. The question is too long. Pardon.
That is not what I required. I required a yes or no, so that is not your concern.
Okay, yes
So
or no?
To start with, these team affirmatives are really failing to see that. I asked him whether he knows that the development to occur, we need funds, of which he didn't give us anything, like a response. But I want to tell you that August House, for any development to occur, whether it is a perfect plan or not, we really need funds to make sure that this thing works. Because you find that it is easy to draft a plan, but now what of the funding body which will make this plan be implemented, of which we are seeing that this body as the NPA should not be blamed because they are coming in saying that the problem, that's why their plan is not being achieved, is simply because of the underfunding that is being done by the Ministry of Finance and also the budgeting bodies of the country, whereby we are seeing that according to the research conducted on Daily Monitor, it shows that NPA, of the NPA's goal that was designed, only 17% was achieved. But the team affirmative tried to look out why this goal was achieved in minimum. They didn't. But the NPA clearly came out and said that the problem why this plan was achieved in minimum is simply because they don't have money to make sure that the plan that they have designed should be implemented. But at the end of the day, you find that they are the one to be blamed. Yet at the end of the day, this NPA is not like a body that implements law. They just design, after designing these bodies, after designing the plan is taken to the parliament. Guess what if it reached there? It is the budget committee that starts with the parliament who will go there and then later on start disagreeing on these people's budget. And at the end of the day, you find that this budget is not fully implemented. At the end of the day, leading to low achievements. Who should be blamed here? Is it the NPA, which is just a designing body, or the implementer, who are the sources of funds? And we are also asking them that this NPA, how much does an MP receives? We are telling them that each member of parliament receives at least 15 billion. And this leads us to our point of political factors, whereby we are saying the government is prioritizing the non-productive sectors more than the productive sectors. For example, the political sectors, that's why we are talking about. All matters rise.
Before I start asking any questions, resolve. This House blames the National Planning Authority for the underdevelopment in Uganda. And before I give anything, I'm here with the National Planning Authority Strategic Plan 2020-2021 to 2024-25, which I believe the team negatives have not used at all, and they don't know anything in it at all. First of all, I would like to highlight something in the National Strategic Plan, one of the primary functions of the National Planning Authority. The second one, it is to monitor and evaluate the effectiveness and impact of the development programs. To prove my fact, Honorable, you'll go back with this and read it later for your understanding of the resolution better. I would like to ask you only 6 questions in this resolution. Is the National Planning Authority in charge of monitoring the implementation?
Yes.
Good. For the plans that have failed, has the National Planning Authority given an alternative on which one to take on?
Yes, they have done.
Thank you so much. Can a program be effective if you do not follow it up?
It cannot, but was that.
Thank you so much. Have plans been made to counter underdevelopment in Uganda?
Yes.
And has underdevelopment reduced in Uganda?
No.
Please underline, has underdevelopment reduced in Uganda?
Because they're not giving the appropriate
Did the
measures.
Did the aim of the National Development Plan 3, was the aim of National Development Plan 3, which was made by NPA, particularly improving household income and quality of lives? Was the aim of NDP 3 to improve household income and quality of lives? Anyway, I don't think you have the answer because you have not read this. Okay. Are all ministries implementers? Please come back. Thank you so much. Dear August House, I would like to bring it to your notice that we are debating with people who don't have the relevant information on what to debate about. We are looking at the roles of the National Planning Authority, and in so doing, we are also looking at what they should do as planners. In planning, you have to follow the 5 steps. The first thing, when you're planning, you have to set objectives. The second thing, you have to identify plans. You have to identify alternative plans. The third thing, you have to evaluate the alternatives to know which one is favorable. And the fourth thing, you have to select the best alternative. The fifth thing, you have to implement and follow up. You have to monitor the implementation and follow up. And in implementation and follow up, we have monitoring, we have controlling, and evaluating. Evaluating is comparing what's on paper and what is in place. And for controlling, you have to select a body to effect your plan. And by selecting that body, meaning whatever they do, you must follow up to ensure, is your plan being effected? And another thing, there is monitoring. You have to monitor and follow up on the implementation of the plans. You have to monitor and follow up. Is my plan being implemented? If not, what is hindering implementation of my plan? Which team negative does not understand. You come and blame corruption, but where is corruption? Corruption is in the ministries, and the ministries are the implementation bodies of the plans we are making. We are planning to manufacture vaccines for Uganda, and in so doing, we are entrusting the Ministry of Health there, and now the corruption is in the Ministry of Health. The National Planning Authority must come and identify the hindrance in the Ministry of Health, and in so identifying the hindrance as corruption, they must work with the effective bodies, they must work with the relevant bodies to counter that corruption. But has the National Planning Authority done so? The National Planning Authority has failed. Then why blame corruption? Yeah, the National Planning Authority is not working with the relevant bodies to counter corruption. Then the other things I want to talk about are clarifying. The National Planning Authority, I believe, has failed in its roles. One of the roles it has failed in, it has failed to coordinate and harmonize development planning. It has failed to monitor and evaluate effectiveness and the impact of their development plans. Here we speak about the National Development Plan 3. It's the vehicle that was taken up to reach development, as they say, was the parish development model. And a year later, after it was put into effect, the parish development model was registered as a failure. Thank you so much for listening.
Now, this debate, simply put, was that this House blames the National Planning Authority for the underdevelopment in Uganda. That means that Team Affirmative had to argue for reasons as to why it is NPA to blame for underdevelopment. Team Negative was to argue for why should we blame anything else apart from National Planning Authority. My interest was on the debate of who implements. Team Negative fronts an opinion that the National Planning Authority's role is to simply make plans and not to implement them. Team Affirmative tells us that when you categorically look at the role of the NPA as it is established by the Constitution and the enabling regulations, is that it has as more mandate to monitor and evaluate. They tell us that it goes ahead to select implementers and as such exercise a level of control. Now, in my opinion, this point is the clash point, and it could have been argued further by both teams. Let me start with my problem with the negative team. The negative team correctly asks questions in points of information. And ministers that you accuse of corruption and what? Do they belong to the NPA or do they belong to implementers? Very good questions. My problem is these questions are not followed up by argumentation. Because the claim from this house, from their, I think, second to fourth speech, is that, you see, you have a role to monitor and evaluate. This role gives you a level of control. Your argument is that there is a different implementer. I needed an argument that shows me that this different implementer is not under the monitoring and evaluation they are talking about. Or if at least if he's under that monitoring and evaluation, there is no effective power exercised by NPA to require performance. That argument never sufficed in the debate. All you told us was, you see, there's a different implementer. There's a different implementer. There are other political factors, corruption, that influence development. True, they are. But the analysis to give us that that implementer is not under effective control that they are suggesting is under did not come out in the debate. Fast forward. Now, these are my marks. I gave both of you 15 for style, very good style. We'll talk about the why not 20 later. I gave both of you 27 for content. Why 27? Because I felt like all of you, the debaters, did not take time to research NPA and how it operates. Which plans has it come up with? What is its role? To what extent does it investigate? What does it implement? You are giving us, development plan number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. You're not things that I can get in a 5-minute search on Google. So I felt like you did not take more time to go deeper and research. I differed slightly in strategy, like I've explained. 29 for the affirmative team, 28 for the negative team, total 71 for the affirmative team, 70 for the negative team. Thank you.
Appreciation to the first speaker. Was it her? The first speaker this side, yes. And then also appreciation to the third speaker this side. That was good weighing up of the resolution or the debate. A point of correction from the third negator. You talked of Article 15. I don't know that it was a slip of the tongue or what, but you talked of Article 15 talking about our National Planning Authority, and of which in actual sense Article 15 talks about dual citizenship, okay? So maybe try to, but I really appreciate the fact that actually your team was able to, bring about the articles, the article that talks about the National Planning Authority. So this was a resolution where we were having team affirmative that was blaming the National Planning Authority, and then we were having team negative that was bringing other alternatives like political factors, influence of other stakeholders, underfunding, hindrances from stakeholders and all that, then also bring in issues of corruption. One, it was a very good argument that team negative brought when they were talking about maybe to start with. Team affirmative came and characterized the work of the National Planning Authority by telling you that the National Planning Authority has a mandate of monitoring, controlling, and evaluating. And then they also have a plan, or they also have a mandate of creating alternatives, and they also have a plan of monitoring the implementers they bring. Then Team Negative also had a very good class by telling them that, you see, at the end of the day, these are people that are just more of architectures. They don't have the role of implementing. But now these ones are telling you that they have the role of appointing the implementers. So even if they're now telling, yes, they do not have the role of implementing, but now you always have to take precaution. For example, what they tell you that, you see, at the end of the day, these guys have a role of supervising, because for them, their biggest argument is, yes, maybe the implementers are failing. Yes, but the implementers are failing because of the lack from these people to monitor them or maybe to evaluate them. Then you also had a very good argument where you talked about the issue of corruption. The good response I also hear from this side is the issue that, you see, by virtue that these people have a responsibility, meaning if they identify a hindrance, then they are meant to go ahead and look for alternatives of how they can, for example, cure the hindrance that is there. That, for example, even if we are having different corruption levels from different ministries, by virtue that these are the people that are coming up with the implementation strategy, or by virtue that they are appointing the implementers, then they have a mandate of looking for solution to whatever is happening. They also talk about the issue that, for example, you look at the MPs that are looking at, for example, earning such amounts of money. Tell them that, you see, at the end of the day, by virtue that the National Planning Authority is in charge, meaning it is even that in charge that plans for the amount of money that those people are meant to get. So meaning by virtue that they are collecting such huge sums of money, let the blame go back to the National Planning Authority, because it has planning for the whole economy of the country. That's why even now, for example, they say that you had even a good response when you told them that, you see, they even advised the president and all that. So for me, they had an argument of funding, because for them they say, yes, even if you are to blame the National Planning Authority, but yes, even if they have the role of making the plans, they evaluate them, they implement them, at the end of the day, if we don't have the funding, then are we going to achieve this? So what now response comes from Team Affirmative on the issue of funding? Yes, I really appreciate the fact that you are able now to rebut to whatever they are talking about, but now if we are now looking at the actual realization of what is in place, then what response do you have to the issue of funding? So to the max, then also, negator 4. A farmer 4 was still asking you questions and you ran away. I don't know if they told you to go and sit. He told you to sit. So in total, I give both of you 16. I give you 28. I give you 28 for content. I define strategy. I give you 30. I give you 31. Making a total of 74 for affirmative and making a total of 75 for negative. But it is really a good debate and really good marks. Thank you.
A good afternoon to all our esteemed debaters. I would like to clearly state that this has been a very, very, very good round of debate. We see very nice execution of speaker roles. We see very good characterization of the resolution coming from the first speakers. We see very nice rebuttal and case building coming from the second. We see very excellent weighing and clashing coming from both third speakers. And we see very interesting cross-examination happening in the fourth speech. So today we are faced with a team negative versus a team affirmative, with the resolution that goes, this House blames National Planning Authority for the underdevelopment in Uganda. So we have a team negative that is supposed to bring to light any other thing or any other factors that we are going to blame for underdevelopment in Uganda, vis-a-vis a team affirmative that is supposed to show us how NPA, or National Planning Authority, is the sole party to be blamed for underdevelopment. Then team negative also goes ahead to show us how NPA, or National Planning Authority, has been able to execute their roles through bringing up things like NDP 1 to 4. We have a team affirmative that says that basing on the sole fact or the sole factor that is brought up through your plan, which is rule number 5, you are supposed to implement, you are supposed to follow up. So their version of failure is brought up through the fact that NPA does not necessarily follow up through on their plans. So this is where I find a bit of a division. Team affirmative comes up and says that basing on the fact that the implementation is necessarily curtailed down to NPA, you do not have reason to come up and say that the implementers are the ones to blame. Yet, at the beginning of everything, we clearly show you that the role of choosing the implementer, the role of saying that our plan is supposed to be brought to light by this person, is still falling on NPA. So, we do realize the fact that at the end of the day, however much you do not have the funds, however much there is political instability, however much there is corruption, as clearly stated by the negative team, we realize that however much all that has been stated, Team Affirmative has shown you that since you have failed to properly follow through your plan, we are going to put the blame on you. Since you have failed to properly choose the implementer, we are going to lay the blame on you. Since you have failed to monitor, we are going to blame you. Since you have failed to control, we are going to blame you. Since you have failed to evaluate, you are going to be blamed. We can see very good engagements on these very fronts, but then at the end of the day, Team Negative has not engaged the fact that implementation, I repeat this, Team Negative has not properly engaged the point of implementation, that at the end of the day, is the role of NPA. So upon that, my marks were as follows. Content, I will give team affirmative 28 and team negative 27. Style, I'll give 20 to both teams. And then strategy, I'll give team affirmative 30 and team negative 29, giving a total of 78 for team affirmative, 76 for team negative. It's a decision of 2-1 that in this case, affirmative takes this debate. Thank you very much.